Welcome back to round 2 in Pirates of the Dark Sea. Now, for this round, there's going to be a considerable amount more disparity for the aesthetics votes, as far as one side having more of an advantage over the other. For example, in this first match, the Sea Hags versus the Geobuxion. The Geobuxion has a 6-point advantage over the Sea Hags. The Sea Hags are new. They are the entry by the Jimmer that got a bye last round. And there are 3 varieties. Basically, they're all the same except that they each have a different style of cram. So the basic shell is very slight difference in cost. The HE variant is 15,251 materials. They have custom rear rudders, 2 ammo processors, which on a ship this size, it's a little unusual, but okay. 2 repair bots, so for the entire team, that makes up the budget, and fair small amount of mimic work. Armor 33.2%, so fairly tanky for especially for the size of these ships. Top speed 28 meters per second, which is in the upper levels as far as ships in the tournament's concerned. Total firepower 11.08, and 7 of that is in cram, and then 4.08 in simple cannons. So they do have 2 rotary blast guns, both front mounted, and one for this particular variant, HE cram, which is 250 pack, 5.36 second reload, which is actually a very decent reload for a cram cannon, and 37.5 shell power, and that's 1,000 kinetic damage at 0.1 AP and 4,234 explosive damage in a 12.2 meter radius for that particular variant. There's also a frag variant, which there are 2 of. There are 3 of the HE, and this one just a slight reduction in cost. So the difference here is that a frag cram, so still 250 pack, 5.36 second reload, and 37.5 shell power. They, again, 1,000 kinetic damage at 0.1 AP. But this one has 18 4,002 damage fragments in a 60-degree cone. And then the third variety is the kinetic, where there's only 1 of them. And the cost on this is 15,092. Kinetic's a little bit cheaper than the other varieties of cram. And for this one, it's 5.02 second reload and 14.3 shell power. So, being purely kinetic, the shell power is going down. And that's 2,500 kinetic damage with an 80 armor pierce, which is really good. It can basically punch through a layer of metal without problem, but somewhat low damage, so it's still limited in its own fashion. And then they're going up against my entry from last round, which ended up being the highest remaining hit points after the rounds had done, and of course the bye ended up with perfect HP, so they're at the top of the barrel and will be starting off. So without further ado, let's get this round started. Already with that cram coming in and connecting that, let's see, do any damage that I can see? Not really. Blast cannons firing back. Oh, I had a cram shell land there in the back. Blew off the wooden outer paneling. Oh, goodness. Sorry, I missed that one. Got a lot of action going on. So, yeah, it looks like those blast guns are managing to knock off quite a few blocks, especially with the close engagement. Those crams are managing to get through that first layer of wood, but I do have a metal wall behind them. And ramming, yeah, those rams in the front managing to tear into Geoluxians. As you can see, the melee damage, that's quite effective. We've got others coming in for the kill. Kind of swarming on this one Geoluxian here. However, it looks like they're kind of piling into each other as well. And that is somewhat unfortunate because those rams, they don't know friend from foe. I mean, they're going to damage whatever they hit. However, now that they're managing to get around, yeah, they're digging into the backside, pushing my poor ship over. However, if these cannons can fire, they'll be shooting into the bottom of these two ships that are here. Looks kind of like a pack of harpies coming down on this poor ship. Trying to drag them down into the depths. Come on, don't hit each other. Yeah, as you can see, as I mentioned, those rams, they don't care whether they hit a friend or a foe. They're going to do the damage. And I do have them set up to avoid friendly contact, but with the sails, sometimes they just can't maneuver in time, being their primary form of propulsion, especially if they're going into the wind. And of course that knocked off the front. Yeah, actually, considering the fact I didn't know when I made these ships which side was the front and back. I'm not sure whether it was the bow or the stern, and I still don't know. So if anybody wants to fill me in on that. Oh, how's this one poor ship over here doing? Oh goodness. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been torn into. It's still at 76.5 on hit points. So, like I said, these ships are very tanky, but that's a lot of damage. It's still trying to valiantly defend itself, but ooh, oh, that was not good. One of them just shot in, trying to hit the Geoluxian and cause some friendly fire. And again, we have this pile up on the Sea Hags. It looks like the Geoluxians actually are winning when it comes to HP. That's, I think, in large part because so many are concentrating on this one ship and trying to ram it that they've just sort of piled themselves up and aren't really able to do much as far as the cram cannons. So, as you can see, they're pointed straight in the air. And these poor geobuxians over here just sort of that collided with each other earlier. As you can see, they've mostly repaired, but they haven't done a lot. They've been away from the action. Now it looks like one of the sea hags was taken out. I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but yeah, the kinetic sea hag is run out of materials. And I have no way of telling truly which one that actually is. Oh, also, I was informed to press F9 to somewhat increase the immersion. I forgot to do that. Yeah, blast can's still going off, but okay, that's time on the first round, and the Geobuxians, yeah, again, they do have a 6-point lead, so they have an effective team score of 98.4 against Sea Hags with 61.2. So we'll see how round 2 goes. Right, the blast cannon's just firing right in there at the start. Cram cannons, on the other hand, being somewhat inaccurate, as they tend to do when starting up. One thing that I like to do as far as cram is set the local weapon controller for cram to only start firing at somewhat of a closer range than the starting distance. And that does work part of the time, but the engagement distance starting for this tournament is only 1,000 meters, which is fairly close, and they do have a 2,000 meter max, so it makes for a hard choice when it comes to that. And perhaps it is wiser actually to be able to fire from a further distance, but it's just going to cause those early shots to be accurate, and friendly fire happening there. Just one of the HE cram firing into the back of one of the other Sea Hags. I guess they didn't like the looks. But yeah, those rams, they do dig in. They dig in deep. And just sort of raking along the sides there. And yeah, that is taking out the cannons along the side. So that can't return fire. Or at least not from that side. And it's being flipped to its side. So unfortunately, this one, coming in trying to ram, missed from the ship being pushed out of the way, it seems. Let's see how we're doing over here. Oh, we have another one. Oh, one of those crams just bounced off the metal roof. And again, it's just the sloping for kinetic damage is quite effective. As you can see, the third shell bouncing off. course, just taking a pot shot at the other Geoboxian over there. And that's a frag, which is peppering the area in frag shells. And unfortunately, these here are also in that general vicinity, possibly catching some of the frag. But goodness, these just carved the turtle open and, served it for dinner. It's it's been tenderized. The repair bots are doing their job, fixing some of the wood on the inside. But being flipped onto its side, just sort of cut open and gutted, it's not being very effective right now. And this round, overall, so far, the Sea Hags are winning on HP. But then again, there is the aesthetics difference that they do need to make up. So perhaps if they can keep up this damage, especially with them getting into the sides, taking out the cannons so that they're not able to return fire. But it seems like the crams not being as effective as the melee in this particular engagement. And just the whole side on this ship has been torn open, and it's not dead yet, but it's a wound it might not recover from. I don't think a band-aid's going to cover that. Looks like the front on this one with the rams has been blown off. And yeah, the sails on these are, they're more than aesthetic, they are functional, but it looks like some of the sail quips have been trimmed off from the bottom, so the one here is not very effective at the current moment. Coming in, again, yeah, this one's missing its front as well, so it doesn't have the ramps anymore. Just kind of causing a collision and a general pileup. We've just gone over the 5-minute mark, and by aesthetics, the Geoboxians still are in the lead. However, the Sea Hags have put up a very valiant effort in disabling these turtle ships, and have caused a considerable amount of damage. But unfortunately, the kinetic shells just firing into the roof aren't doing anything. They're just bouncing into the air. If it was firing into the inside or into the side, it would be punching holes through the ship. But the angle on the armor is just deflecting the kinetic damage. And that's time. And once again, by the aesthetics difference, the Geoboxians are the winner with an effective score of 87.4, whereas the Sea Hags have an end score of 83.2. So the Sea Hags will be continuing on with one loss, and the Geoboxians will be moving forward into the third rounds as winners. And once again, I will see you soon in the second match of the second round.